Hey, what's going on, guys? Lord MC here again, back again with another video. Wanted to share my thoughts on what happened today in the market, and what we can see happening tomorrow. So first, let me preface by saying I am not a financial advisor, and none of the things I say is financial advice. So take everything with a grain of salt. Having said that, let's jump right to the SPY here one day. So SPY had a positive day here, closing at 366.61 with the crazy push up into close, where it did go almost, yeah, it did test up to the 9 EMA at 368.55, where it did get some resistance. So it was up 2.64% for the day. Something I mentioned in my previous video is that I thought that SPY would have some type of bounce relief, right? So possibly testing that 9 EMA at 368, which is exactly what happened. So one thing that you have to consider here, moving on forward, is whether SPY is going to continue pushing up or continue pushing down. So if we just look at Friday's volume, the daily close was, it was over 153 million volume, pretty significant, right? And today's volume was over just 89 million. So if we do want to see some continuation to the upside, you would need an increase of volume for tomorrow. Otherwise, it's looking like it's going to be a repetition of a dead cat bounce, right? Maybe catch some bulls and trap them again. So you would need volume to significantly increase tomorrow. So what can we expect on the SPY for tomorrow? So one thing that can happen here is finally going and testing, filling that gap before a bounce back down, and then coming back up to test 381, right? In order for you to start looking that this is reversing to a bull trend, you have to create higher highs and higher lows and higher highs, right? So if you want that reversal or expecting that reversal, you have to create higher highs and higher lows. So this would be the case scenario here, where it would possibly finally fill the gap here at 374 and change, come back down, and then possibly continue further, right? That would signal, hey, we're probably trending, the reversal is probably trending bullish. So that's going to be interesting to see if that happens. So what would happen for the bearish case scenario? So we go back to the volume, right? If this was actually a dead cat bounce, you can expect some more pain. So 371 is level of resistance for SPY tomorrow, where if it's been gotten rejected several times, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the past week, right? It cannot get above and close this gap. So you can have an expected move at 371 and then come further down and continue to the downside, right? If we look at RSI here, on the daily, it did hit this trend line right here. So if you want to be a little bit bullish, we need to have that crossover, maybe do a retest and then continue moving up. Otherwise, it could get rejected at this top of this trend line and then continue further downside. So levels of support and resistance for tomorrow. So 371 crosses that, gap fill is at 374, and then if it continues, 381. Just the same things I've been saying before. Otherwise, you will have get a rejection at 371. Levels of resistance would be at 358 and then 351. So will be interesting to see what how that plays out coming into tomorrow. Jumping over to the triple Qs. The triple Qs also had a positive day, closing in just above 2.35%, closed at 273.53. The triple Qs, something that I found here interesting is we could see probably creating, it looks like it's creating a channel here. I believe it was right here. Actually, let me take this this parallel channel to the top of this wick, something like this. So it looks like it's trading in this channel here, where the midline of this channel would be around 270. Tomorrow would be 276, which is where I drew this horizontal line at 276.85, where there's a level of resistance here. So if it gets rejected from here, we can probably continue coming down here and testing 263. So again, the volume, you can see a decrease right from Friday's close. So what we want to see on the triple Qs, again, like the SPY, we need to see an increase in volume for any type of push to the upside, right? This could be a false breakout here, volume wise, right? So it did create a double bottom here at on the RSI. So we'll see if the Qs wants to continue pushing up. So levels of resistance would be at 276.85, and then at the 13 EMA at 279 and change, call it 280. That's heavy level of resistance on the triple Qs. And as far as levels of resistance, of support, excuse me, that would be 268, and then further downside would more capitulation would happen. So we'll be keeping my eyes on the triple Q tomorrow. And now switching over to the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones closed 2.61% for the day. The Dow Jones here on Friday's close did miss that gap down here at 284. So what can we expect now coming into tomorrow? Will the gap fill first to the upside or to the downside first? That's something we have to see, right? So like I said, if we want to see a trend reversal, we need to see higher lows and higher highs, right? So what can we expect? Obviously, volume here was almost as much as Friday's close. So if we do want to see that reversal, we would probably want to have this create and fill this gap, come back down, right? Create like a come back down to possibly the 90 EMA at 295, and then continue pushing up higher, where there will be levels of resistance here at 280. So again, this could play out if volume decides to come in for this week. So levels of support resistance again would be at 298, and then at 300, and then 305 on the 21 EMA, and target 1 at 309.97 of this bullish butterfly pattern. So we don't know yet whether this is a type 1 or type 2 reaction. We can might have a better indication tomorrow. So we'll see how that plays out. So resistance again at 298, and then 300, and below support you would want to come down to 290 and then fill that gap at 284. Jumping over to the VIX. So the VIX did close negative 4.81%, but it's still closing above 30 right now. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days now that it closes above 30. So we're still not out of the woods yet. Any close above 30 is still bearish in the market. So it looks like it did maybe it's going to its type 1 reaction after going above hop here. Now it wants to test XA at 28.95, and then target 1 at 25.96. So we will see what VIX has for us tomorrow, coming in to market tomorrow. So keep an eye out on VIX. Jumping over to Apple. Apple had a nice day today, closing 3% for the day. It closed at 142.45. I did mention in my previous video and in chat today, in live streaming, that if you wanted to have Apple continue pushing, and you would need to stay above 142, and it did get that today. So what are the next levels for SPY if it decides to continue pushing? That would be the 90 EMA at 146, and then this level here that I still have here, that's an important level for me. It's at 148 and if it wants to continue pushing up to target 1 at 152.59. like I said again, we need volume to pick up to see if we want to switch the trend. Otherwise, we could still potentially come down and test 134.41 of this bearish shark pattern on the daily. So levels of support, if we see further downside, will be 134.41, and then from then 121 of this bearish shark pattern. Jumping over to Tesla. So Tesla did fill this gap here. It finished negative 8.61%, almost finishing day at 10%. So Tesla had a pretty bad day in the market. If we look at here, they did create this double top, right? The neckline would be somewhere right here. So it did gap down. Volume increased today. So it did fill this gap. We're going to delete this here. So what do I see for Tesla? RSI is still not below 30, so this still has some room to grow. HSI as well. AMP RSI is signaling that it's possibly oversold, but RSI and HSI still have ways to go. So for Tesla, if it wants to continue going down, you have your target 2 at 236.23, and for actually yeah, so now it did create this gap here that I'm gonna draw here. So for the bullish case scenario, you would want to come back up to, let's see, I think there's a better pattern here in the 2-day. Yeah, the 2-day here, possibly enter 254 and then 262 and fill this gap, where we would test the 50 SMA here at 264, and then there will be a lot of resistance here between around 280 for a continuation to test target 1 at 298. So I do see further pain on at least short term for Tesla. So tomorrow, it will be interesting tomorrow to see if we can get that target 2 at 236.23 before a bounce. Jumping over to Exxon. So Exxon had a 5.28% for the day to the upside. It closed 91.92. It did create here a gap fill here down to $89.10 to $89.54. So I think part of the reason why Exxon is moving is because you have oil barrels increasing in price, gas is increasing all around. California here has been just recently increased prices. Around where I live, it's around like $6 and change, and then in parts of LA, it's going up to as high as $7 and change. So we could potentially start seeing here. I would like it to get above this channel here, which that would be around $95. So what do I see for Exxon for this week? I do see further upside. So levels of resistance would be here at 92, 95, call it 93, and then potentially getting to target 1 at 94.67. I think a 2-day gives us a better indication here. Oh, it was a 3-day. I believe it was a 3-day. Yeah, there will be levels of resistance here. Target XA would be 96.87. So yeah, we'll see what on the 2-hour. I think it gives us a better indication. Yeah, this is it, the deep crab pattern here on the 2-hour. So it's looking like it's doing its target type 1 reaction, right? So levels of resistance for tomorrow on the 2-hour would be $93, like we said. This would be the 200 SMA, and further continuation would be target 2 at 94.77. To the extreme case, let me see here. After target 2, if we can get above the 886, would be $100, which would be a stretch, right? In this harmonic pattern, that would completely be oversold. As you can tell, even an RSI right here is oversold, HSI is oversold, AMP RSI as well. So we may need a little cool off here, depending, right? we could extend to this target 2 at 94.77, but RSI, at least in the 2 hour, and HSI and AMP RSI is oversold or overbought, excuse me. The same thing, we're getting the same deep crab pattern on the 3 hour, and all HSI, AMP RSI, and HSI all are approaching overbought territories here. So nothing in the 4 hour, but we'll be keeping a close eye on that as gas prices are increasing. Jumping over to ISEE, the possible potential gamma squeeze play on ISEE here. It did close at $18.26, which was, we're tracking here. Let me remove some of these drawings so you guys can see the better picture. Tracking TD sequential. So TD sequential, we did generate a 9 here, like we said back in 27th of September. Now each close after that has to close above the prior close. So we did get that close today higher than the previous close. So we want to see continuation tomorrow to close above today's closing price, right? So we need to be above $18.80 for us to continue pushing to the upside. So jumping over to the 1 week, this is a potential cup and handle on the weekly, where there are gap fills add up to 37 and then 53. I believe there's more, but something that I found interesting here is on the 45 minute chart, I did find a potential parallel curve here, right? So base 1 would be here. The expected move is 25%, right? So if we came from here up to here, roughly that was around a 25% move, right? So base 2 of this parallel curve, to get up to base 3, you would need a 50% move to the upside, which would be somewhere around $27 if this continues to make that base 3. So there's 4 bases in a parallel curve, and then the strongest of the bases is that base 3, where it does a 50% move. So that target would be, of that short gamma squeeze, would be 27 before maybe continuing going up to 30s and then coming back down hard. So it would be, you'd probably lose like 75 to 50% of that as soon as it goes up. So we will be keeping an eye on that. I do think for that to happen, it needs to come down to around $18 before pushing back up to the upside. So we will see how that plays in for us tomorrow. But I do think even on the 1 day, this was brought up. Also, shout out to Rico, because he did explain this to me on the parallel curve of how much movement would be needed for the base 3 requirement. So also switching over to the 1 day, this was brought up to me by a professor here. The Bollinger Bands are ready to explode. They're expanding so much, so if you could look at the Bollinger Bands, they are ready to go, right? Some movement is about to happen, up or down, but to me, I am putting my money more on movement going up, right? The gamma squeeze, if you look at the option chain, there's a lot of open interest in the $20 strike price, where I think if it goes into that territory, because it has open interest around 14,000, and the volume came in more today with 1,200 open interest. So if that starts the gamma squeeze, then you got your $22.5 strike price for October 21, where that has an open interest of 18,700, and then that would increase the price quickly to the $25 range, where it has even more open interest at 13,000. and then you have your last one at 12,000 open interest at the $35 strike price. But I do think $20 sends it. I have this trend line here at 1935, which has been rejected about 5 times on the weekly. I think it's the weekly. Yeah, 4 times. So I want to get above 1935 for that to start the movement to the upside. So we will see. I'm going to be keeping my eye on this one for sure, especially on the 45-minute. Hopefully we get this parabolic move to the upside soon. So having said that, that's all I have for you guys today. I will be streaming again tomorrow early before open. So if you want to join, I will be streaming on Twitch. All my information is on the description box. So if you want to come watch a stream, I will be streaming right before open at 6:15. I usually am on. So if you like this content, please consider subscribing, giving me a like. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.